Welcome back to Grizz's place. Here's hoping neighbors don't wander by and wonder what that crazy old man is doing in his garage talking to himself. Anyway, today we're going to talk about transitions. I've been meaning to do this video for a long time, and I'm sure I'll redo it at some point out at the range where there's good light and better scenery than my nasty old dirty garage wall. But it's winter time and the range is covered in snow and mud, so this is what we got. Anyway, as we've all heard, transitions is the place where most of us can pick up the most time in this game of cowboy action shooting. And transitions is going from gun to gun and place to place as efficiently as possible. And in a nutshell, that means doing as many things at once as you can. So if you're shooting the shotgun, you shuck, you put it down with two hands, and then pick up the rifle, you're wasting a bunch of time. But what I like to do generally, now what I'm showing you here is what I've learned from watching people and trying it myself, what works best for me. And I hope it gives you some ideas of things to try, figure out what works best for you. Now generally, what I like to do is I like to shuck, discard with the weak hand, and pick up with the strong hand. That way, instead of two motions, it's really one motion. So, and when you're attacking a stage, I try to plan it, if pistols are first, and say a stand and deliver, I try to have it to where my weak hand pistol is last, so while I'm holstering that, I can pick up the next gun. It's about an economy of motion. So there you go. I could run through a bunch, but I'm losing light. So now we've covered keeping both hands moving. But what if you have three different shooting positions? And it's going to depend a lot on what you're starting with, what you're moving to, which direction you're moving. Now, if you're moving into your strong hand, say like this, again, I try to do my weak hand discard and move so I can get to the next gun. Now, say you're doing pistols. Well, a lot of people finish with a pistol, holster it, and then move. But you don't have to do that. As long as the hammer is down on a spent case, you can holster while you're moving, and you're there that much quicker. So it's keeping both hands moving and doing things while you're moving if possible. Now, the traditional line of thinking is if you can, take it with you, which I agree with to a point. But let's say you have a big wall there. Now for starters, when you're moving between walls, it's best to stand back a little bit. You're less likely to hit that. Or if you're really close, you're going to have to step back before you can step over. Or you may want to just shuck, put it down, and leave. So another thing with walls is, say there's walls on either side of this shooting position, and the shooting position is this wide. Now, for a left-hander coming into the shooting position, let's say we start down here with pistols. In this case, I would start with the right, shoot that, holster it, shoot to left, and then as I'm moving, holster that, move into the rifle, and I'd have it staged all the way at the side where you're coming from. And that way you can shoot that, and when you're done, you have room to discard it as you're moving past it to get to your next gun. Now, I had a whole bunch of things that I was going to do here. Let me think for a moment. But it's all about figuring out what works for you. Don't get locked into, I always have to shoot my strong hand first and then my weak hand. Because there are times when shooting your weak hand will work best depending on which way you're moving next. For myself, if I'm holstering on the move, I prefer for it to be the side that is towards downrange. There's just less chances that you're going to break the 170, but again, I'm not saying I never do it the other way, but in general. So for left-handed transitions, if you have a choice of which direction you start with, generally, not always, I like to move towards my strong hand, which means since I'm left-handed, starting on the right and moving to the left. Well, some stages are written to where you have to start on the left. So what's a left-hander to do? I figured it out once, and given the choice on an equal stage, moving towards my dominant hand generally is 2-3 seconds, at least, faster for me than the other way. So where do you make it up? You make it up in transitions. And again, if you're starting with the pistols, do it so that you're holstering while you're moving. You want to be moving and doing something. If you're setting one thing down, you want to be doing something. If you're moving to the shotgun, be pulling your shells. And again, like I said, if you have this shooting position, there's nothing that says you have to stage right in the middle. I like to stage towards where I'm coming from. So if I'm left-handed moving to the right, I want to be grabbing that as soon as I get there so I can already be bringing it up as I'm getting set. Now again, more and more people are designing stages that the sequence of targets you can start on the left or start on the right. And growing up in this game, it was always start on the left, so I'm really comfortable with that. But being a left-hander, it is a little bit more natural to start on the right. But a lot of times, what I'll do, especially if moving in between big walls, when moving into something, I start on the end that I can see first as I move into it. So if I'm moving in here, there's a wall here, I'm not going to see this left-hand target. I'm going to see that right-hand target. So I move in here, and I'll start on the right and move to the left. So again, specifically for left-handed transitions, moving to the right, it's the same general principle as all transitions. Be fluid and economous, if that's a word, move with economy, and try to be doing as many things as you can at once. If the rifle is here, it's not really natural to move that way, and it's kind of awkward to lay it down with your strong hand, as you might run into it. So if you're moving that way, you might break your last shot, start to move, and lay it down with your strong hand. And then move over, grab your shotgun, and whale away. But as I said, it's all a matter of finding what works for you and trying different things and not getting stuck with, I always have to discard with the weak hand. I always have to shoot one pistol first or whatever. Different stages are going to dictate or lend themselves to doing it a different way. And if you're practiced in the different ways of discarding or the different orders in shooting your pistol, you can save yourself time, because by doing it a certain way, you'll be able to holster while you're moving. You'll be able to lay it down with your strong hand as you're moving. And like I said, on a wide open thing like this, moving against my dominant hand, I like to start out on this side so I can already be moving as I'm letting that go as I'm moving. So anyway, I had a whole bunch of things planned to do with this video. I'm sure I've forgotten most of them, but hey, something is better than nothing. I hope this has helped you out, and like I said, I'm going to try to redo this at the range, maybe with a checklist of specific things I want to cover. But I thank you for tuning in. I thank you for watching. Come on back and see us at Grizz's place. Hope to see you down the trail soon. Until then, watch your top gun. And since the cameras are still rolling, we'll just see how crappy the light is, if you can actually see, and stuff like that. Yeah, that's one thing I forgot to mention is staging. Oh, well, we'll cover that in the next video. Stay tuned for the next video. I'm not sure when I'll get it done, but I'm going to cover attacking the stage. And that's going to cover a little bit better where to stage guns. For a stand and deliver, you want your first gun on the inside, you want it on the outside, what works best for you, and a few other topics like that, including how to work around walls, which most of them don't knock over like easy like that. So anyway, thanks again for stopping in at Grizz's place. See you down the trail. Until then, watch your top gun. Boom.